Well, boy, did they need that one as the Dallas Stars take down the Capitals in a shootout. A very gutsy performance, something we have not seen much from the Stars this season. Let's jump into this one next on Locked On Stars.
Your Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105.3 The Fan and play-by-play voice of the Chippewa Steel. Be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Bing bong, Stars fans. The Dallas Stars get the job done, take down the Capitals by a final score of 5-4 in a shootout. I never thought they were going to get enough bounces to go their way in order to grab the full 2 points, but they did it. A very gutsy performance. A lot of things did not go their way. It wasn't pretty by any means, but they pick up a full 2 points and salvage somewhat of a road trip that was not very good, to say the least. Jason Robertson with the lone goal in a skills competition. He's automatic. Scott Wedgewood goes 3 for 3 in the shootout against some very good competition, mind you. Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Strome, and he shut them all out. So excellent job from the Stars. We're going to touch on Matt Duchene playing in his 1,000th game, which is so exciting. Seems like the Stars have had a ton of those players roll through. They've had quite a run of 35-year-olds, kind of mid-30s guys that are coming in towards the tail end of their career. But we'll touch on his body of work. And a huge win before the Vegas Golden Knights come to town. And, of course, for my money, the best team in the National Hockey League. But let's dig into what was a very, very crazy roller coaster of emotion game. I was sitting there. I was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to do enough. A few bounces went the way of the Capitals. Stars haven't had a ton of puck luck lately, but they were able to get the job done. They grinded it out in the third period. And it was another case, too, where their start was really good. Their first 5 minutes, they were definitely the better team. They were forcing the issue. And it was like, okay, here we go. Just get that first goal. And, of course, Wedgewood goes out to play the puck, kind of fans on it, played out in front. Dodonov's cruising by off his stick. And Wedgewood, who's scrambling back, can't get a pad on it as it squirts through his 5-hole and in the back of the net. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But Stars get a goal in the final 5 minutes of the period. Great little pass from Sam Steele to set up Seguin, and he was practically at the goal line. And one-timer vintage sniped it up high on Lindgren and was able to beat him to even the score heading into the second period. Second period was kind of a tale of two halves. Washington definitely got off to the better start, and the Stars never led in the game essentially till the end. They played from behind. Washington made it a 2-goal lead with goals from Strome and Kuznetsov. Again, just some breakdowns in the defensive zone, losing men, and Washington got a couple of grade A looks, including a breakaway that Kuznetsov buried. But again, a late goal in the period from Mason Marchment. Great setup by Duchene. And then Marchment, a one-timer upstairs where Mama hides the cookies for his 9th goal of the season. And then it just seemed like things started to roll a little bit into the third period. They carried that momentum from the second, and they get a goal to tie the game. And you're like, okay, here we go. Roope Hintz on the power play. I watched this one back. I don't think Roope ever touched it. I think they may go back and give this one to Jamie Benn, who had the initial deflection. So I think Jamie Benn will get credited with it. For right now, Hintz has 2 goals on the night because he scores a absolute beauty to tie the game at 4 after the Capitals took another lead, of course. Roope Hintz, a laser. I mean, this thing was labeled, and he wrung it off the pipe. Robertson and Pavelski pick up assists. Robertson with 2 assists in the game. The top line was really, really good, especially in the third period. Kind of non-existent for the first half of the game, and they really turned it on, which is a great sign. I just sat there telling myself, I used to watch this line completely dominate oppositions, and they just can't find it. And they found it in the third when they really needed it. It just felt like the forecheck was a lot harder. Their forecheck was not producing much in the first half of the hockey game. And they just seemed to create more chances on their forechecking late in the game. I don't know if it was just being more direct and, applying more pressure, because the Capitals had a really, really easy time getting out of their own zone, especially in the first half of that second period. But Stars made it really tough on them. Plus, it could have been just Washington trying to sit back. And you have to give them credit on a back end of a back-to-back. The Stars had the better legs in the third period. And it just felt like, man, if they get a few more things to go their way, they'll be able to get the job done, because it just seemed like maybe the hockey gods were not going to be on their side. And they did enough to get it into overtime. The holding penalty that gave the Capitals a lead on the power play was so bogus, by the way, too. Strome puts his stick in the arms of Faksa. So when he turns, obviously Faksa has his stick in his arms, and then he gets a holding penalty. I thought that was pretty weak. I digress. Stars have a great chance shorthanded. Steele tries to go 5-hole. Lindgren shuts it down. Odd man rush going the other way. It ends up in the back of your net, of course. But that actually happened pretty much carbon copy for the Hintz goal. Capitals had a great look at the other end on Wedgewood. They missed the net, and then they go down the other way, and the top line goes tic-tac-toe. And on the business end of it is Roope Hintz. The defense had a good night to some degree. I'll say that. Miro was by far the best defenseman on the night. He had it again, which is a great, great sign. He was just so much better last night. His game score ended up being 3.90. His expected goals for was 1.63. which was the highest on the team. He looked really good, just looked like him old self, picked up an assist. If Ben gets the goal, he'll pick up another. He had it again, which is a great sign. There was a few flubs here and there, but just looked like his normal self, which is a great sign for Stars fans. Good to see him get going. Harley, I thought, had a great night. They're also starting to pair Heiskanen and Harley a bit together more. They're trying to find some different pairings. They really are. Lundqvist in his first game back. I know that's been a hot topic. First game back from 3 consecutive healthy scratches. He held his own. He was really good on his board battles. I don't remember him getting beat very much at all in terms of battles behind the net. Made some excellent passes and jumped up on the rush a few times. Did not create a ton offensively, but I think he was very, very cautious of defending his own net. Again, he did not play in the final, I think, 5 to 7 minutes of the third period, because of course it was a close game. And yeah, I mean, after the second TV timeout, Lundqvist didn't see the ice. He played 2 shifts. What is that? 2 shifts in the third period, maybe? Maybe it's 4. Maybe I'm underselling that, but he didn't play a ton down the stretch. It felt like the bench got a bit shorter, even for the trios up front. You did not see a ton of Smith and Faksa, who I thought actually played a very, very good night along with Steele. I thought that line was good. Of course, the Robertson Pavelski line really started to get going. I mean, the Duchene line just seems to be consistent from puck drop, which is a great sign. It's driven by Duchene. He's had a couple of nifty moves, man. He could have had a couple of highlight reel goals last night. But nice to get Seguin back on the board. 9th goal of the season, man. What a renaissance he's having. It's just great to see him scoring goals at a consistent rate. And they needed every bit of it. It was by no means a cakewalk. Against a Washington team that was pretty rested. They just got spanked by Arizona 6-0. They came back home, and they gave them a fight. They sure did. And the penalty kill was really, really good. I mean, I know they gave up one, but I mean, they had to kill a penalty in the third period or in the overtime. That's another call I wanted to get to on the Heiskanen interference. Like, so bogus. What do you want the guy to do? He's cruising towards the net. A guy runs into him, and you're basically rewarding not staying on your man too. He's 5 feet away from his guy, and Heiskanen bumps into him. Strome goes toppling over, and you give them a power play in OT. I was like, unbelievable. This is how it's going to end. Ovechkin had his patented one-timer from the left circle like 3 times. Wedgewood stoned him twice, thankfully, and they survived the final minute of 12 of overtime, and they ended up pushing it to a shootout. I would like the Stars to be a bit more aggressive in OT. They really preach patience, and that's Pete DeBoer's philosophy, but I would like them to go for broke a few more times because it's so, possession oriented and take your time and get the good look. I would like them to go for broke a few more times. I think they would cash in a bit more, but great shootout. Robertson, he's automatic. Just trot him out there, just does that little toe drag, waits, rips it up high, glove, blocker side with Lindgren. In this case, Stars outshoot the Capitals 38-27. Good in the dots, 55. Power play goes 1 for 1. They're starting to really cook too. Roope Hintz and Robertson both with a game score of 2.77. Expected goals 9.2 for Hintz, 1.04 for Robertson. Just a lot of good nights all around. Harley just continues to be really, really good, man. He's impressed me so much. I love his game. He could have had a couple tonight too. He got stoned a couple times. And the Stars did in general. Lindgren was good in the content. Wedgewood was good enough. He didn't have to steal it. But Heiskanen by far had the biggest impact on the game, which is just nice to see because he's been on a skid here in the last 2 weeks. Hakanpää, Lindell were the lone kind of dwellers, you could say, in the contest. They did not look good in some stretches, man. They had some really, really bad giveaways and were defending more often than not. So good bounce back. Lundqvist looked good in his return, which is a good sign, even though they're still not comfortable with him playing in a close game. Somebody that did have a good one, Matt Duchene, man, 1,000 career games in the National Hockey League. What a career he has accumulated so far. Just one thing he has to kind of check in order to maybe call it a career, and that's win a Stanley Cup. Hopefully he can do that with the Stars. Let's touch a bit more on the 1,000 career games for Matt Duchene in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience, that's what brings home the winning trophy and is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're running rubber, not cash, Stars fans. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So Matt Duchene gets an assist in his 1,000th career game. That's been a tough word for me to say, by the way, 1,000th. I have a lisp all of a sudden when I say that word. And he was really, really good in the contest. And I would love to just kind of touch on the body of work that he's put together. But first, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Go ahead and go there. Top sports stories of the day, local experts, Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. It is wonderful. First ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Go ahead and do that. By the way, there is a complete Dallas one too, which you should go check out. Just all things Dallas. Cowboys, Mavs, Stars, boom, all of it. You want it? It's right there for you. So go ahead and do that as well. So Matt Duchene in his illustrious career, 15 years now in the National Hockey League, and He's played 1,000 career games, so he has accumulated 764 points in his career. He becomes what is it now? I think the 360th career player to reach 1,000. Is that it? Let me see. 387th, excuse me. So, in the grand scheme of things, not every day you see this. And I feel like the Stars just have guys that are reaching that mark almost every other week. It feels like Seguin looks like he's going to be the next. I don't think he's going to get there this season. But man, it's pretty remarkable too what he's done. He's been an all-star a couple of times. And he's another one of these guys that's kind of aging gracefully. He had his career high in points a couple of years ago in Nashville, 86 points, and he ended up scoring 43 goals. And he was so good coming into the league. For a rookie that scored 55 points in 81 games, you think he would run away with a Calder? He was third, which was pretty mind-boggling to me, but Tyler Myers was in that class, and with Buffalo, Jimmy Howard also in Detroit. Tavares was in that class too, along with Jamie Benn. So kind of crazy to look back that he had that impactful of a rookie season and did not win the Calder. Of course, he was so young in Colorado, and that was a team that was pretty much rebuilding and tanked to get him, and ended up just had such a great career in Colorado. And by the time he left, they were on their uptick, unfortunately for him, but kind of bounced around for a little bit, then spent 4 years in Nashville where he was pretty productive. I mean, they didn't have a lot there, and he's been up for a Lady Byng multiple times. He's finished 6th in the Lady Byng trophy race, and now he's become a formidable force and what could be the missing piece for the Stars all this time. And man, he's had such a good year. I mean, it just seems like he's provided another level, and you can't underestimate how big of an impact he's had on Marchment and Seguin. He now has 20 points in the first 24 games on the year, 6 goals and 14 assists, 3 points now in his last 2 games. And he's the driver of the line. He's good in the faceoff dot. He's very, very committed in the defensive zone too. Did not realize how much of an impact he was going to have in that department. Just is hungry for the puck too. He puck jacks tons of people, takeaways galore, and just makes a great play in tight spaces. His ability to manipulate the puck and get it off on net in really tight areas is incredible. And it's been a pleasure to watch him for somebody that was only given $3 million. And I've said it, he's the best value in the NHL, bar none, for what he's been doing so far this season. So great to see out of Matt Duchene, and a great pickup for Jim Neal. But by the way, Jim Neal, we could use some help defensively. They need something. It's a glaring weakness, and I know I'm sitting here gloating a bit, but it was by any means not very pretty at some stretches in the game. Just unable to get the puck out of your own end. Just constant, just high flips, negative plays in order to just catch your breath at some points. Which is going to be a problem. And look, it's nothing new. I've kind of harped on it, and I don't want to sit here and drag a podcast down because I touched on it for 4 nights. So if you want to hear me just kind of befuddled and completely broken, you can check out yesterday's episode with how long is it going to take for the Dallas Stars to fix their problems in terms of defense. But Stars now just a point behind Colorado. Big win, up to 33 points. Winnipeg with a win last night against Colorado. So they're right on the heels. And the Central Division is really shaping up to be a close race. Arizona's right there, 28 points. Nashville's at 28. It's pretty crazy. And a division that is pretty wide open, to say the least. We didn't know what we were going to get with a lot of these teams, besides, I guess, Vegas, who I was thought was going to have a bit of a hangover on the Stanley Cup. Still thought they were going to be up in the upper echelon, but talk about a team that hasn't slowed down as well. Taking a look at the Minnesota-Vancouver score, that's currently going right now. So they're up 1-0, Vancouver is. So we'll see how that all shapes up tomorrow. But Stars with a gritty victory. Matt Duchene certainly a factor in that one last night. Let's go ahead and touch on the game a bit more. I want to share a few of the numbers in terms of Corsi for percentages and shout out some guys too, and just then kind of maneuver my way into some Vegas talk. Because the Stars have a big test, a litmus test against the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday. And let's touch on those pesky Golden Knights in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is also brought to you by Jace Medical. I know we come to sports to escape the reality of everyday life. It can be so wild, but can we talk just for a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade, and that can be scary. You don't want to imagine the helpless feeling of not having something if your kid gets sick, significant other, of course, a family member, and you don't have life-saving medication because of a supply chain issue. So thankfully, you'll be okay with Jace Medical. The Jace case packs 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses like UTIs, respiratory infections, you name it, they got it, among others. This stuff could happen to anybody, of course, at any time. Visit jacemedical.com to complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and then your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com and use offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first order. Go to jacemedical.com. By the way, be sure to follow me on the Twitter thing at JoeyTheJet19, the X. I love the feedback I get on there and just kind of throwing my thoughts out there as well. I'll be on the road this weekend. I'll be on the road and back. So won't have an episode for you on the weekend, unfortunately, after the Vegas game, but I'll be certainly watching it up to the puck drop of my game. So it's actually kind of nice. It's in the afternoon. Game that I'm working for will be a 7 o'clock puck drop. So I'll be glued to the Stars pretty much up until that point, even though I'm supposed to be doing a lot of other things. But man, a big test for the Stars upcoming on Sunday. And Vegas, of course, has just been a phenomenal team, leaders in the Pacific Division, reigning Stanley Cup champs. And this is a team that I think is kind of the gold standard up to this point. No pun intended there. They just have so much depth. They're so good on the back end, and the Stars are going to have to do something in order to compete with that at the end of the day. And they now lead the entire NHL with 39 points. They've scored 3.19 goals per game, and they're just giving up 2.3. Power play is good, 22%. PK's up there. They're just getting great performances in goal too from Adin Hill. That wasn't a one-hit wonder by any means. It was not a fluke for Mr. Hill and Logan Thompson. Just beat down the Blues a couple nights ago by a final score of 6-3. And they're coming in pretty hot. They beat some good teams lately, beat the Canucks. They beat the Capitals too. And I think it's just going to be a great test at a good time, because the Stars have been going through this adversity now. Can they buck up in an afternoon game at the AAC and find a way to get the job done? They've played 2 of probably their better games of the year against Vegas too, and have come out on losing ends past 60 minutes. Otter will be back in between the pipes. So I'm going to take a lot of stock in this one. I really will on December 9th. So I think it's just a great time for Vegas to come through, and we're going to find out a bit of what the Stars are made of. I thought we found out last night that, man, they weren't going to sit down. They had some push, which it didn't feel like they had in Florida. They didn't get pushed around, especially in that third period. They were the ones that were kind of grinding it out and just finding a way. And there's something to be said for that, just finding a way to get a win. And that might be the case on Saturday. Taking a look at some more of the numbers, at 5-on-5, the Stars were actually really good. Their Corsi for percentage was above 60 in the first and third period, which is no surprise. Dipped a bit in the second when the Capitals had some better of the play. Scoring chances 32-20 in favor of the Stars. I mean, they were in and around Lindgren quite a bit. And if a few bounces don't go the Capitals' way, I think the Stars probably handily win this game. Just because it just felt like, man, there was just some fluky stuff happening. The first goal that went in, I was like, come on. That's exactly the goal that would happen to the Stars at this point. And I thought Seguin just kind of said it perfectly in his intermission interview on ESPN that this is a great adversity game for us. We're going to be tired, and we gave up the first goal. We're down by 2, and it was a great adversity game for sure, and they were able to get the job done. How about the power play, by the way, man? I mean, they've struck now, I believe, in 3 straight games. By the way, that stat I threw out there yesterday about the Stars in the Pete DeBoer era picking up a point and at least are not having a point in at least 3 straight games continues to hold true. It was in jeopardy last night, but they got it done. Power plays now at 24%, which is inside the top 10 in the NHL, which is a great sign. The PK continues to be really good. It's at 86%. They were 2 for 3 on the job yesterday, which is top 5. So starting to even out a bit and getting to numbers we saw last year. And hopefully that leads to great play. So great matchup on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. And I just hope the Stars show up. To be completely honest, this could have been a grimy schedule. It's a tough schedule here in the month of December. Does not get very easy. And man, they're just going to have to pull through this stretch and hopefully they come out the better end. So very excited that we could do a kind of happy, flowery, it's all puppies and rainbows here on a Friday, even though it was not particularly pretty. But at some point, I can only say so much about the defense not being good, and they need to do something. You're going to be tired of me saying that if I do that over and over again, to say the least. All righty. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Stars hockey. Can't wait to see you on a Monday, Stars fans. Bing bong. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have some fun. Holiday season is here. It's been a lot of fun so far. Appreciate all your feedback as always. So please leave your comments. What was your favorite part of last night's win? And we'll see you on Monday. So long, Stars fans.